welcome in the Airflow 101 video. I'm super happy to see you there because that means you are interested by Airflow and you should be interested by Airflow. Indeed, I'm pretty sure that it will become a central piece of your data stack as it is truly powerful if you want to create solid data pipelines. My name is Marc Lamberti. I'm the head of customer training at Astronomer, and what you are going to discover in this video will be really helpful. So what are you going to discover? Well, first, we are going to define the purpose of Airflow and what Airflow is. Then we will see some very important concepts that you absolutely need to know to finally go through a data pipeline together. And at the end of the video, you might be able to code your first data pipeline. So without further waiting, let's get started. The best way to explain why you need a tool is to start from a typical use case. Let's imagine that you have a data pipeline that you want to trigger every day at midnight. You might have this data pipeline with 3 different tasks: extract data, process data, and store data. Obviously, at each task, you will interact with other tools such as Spark or a database, for example. Now, what happens if you are not able to reach the API to extract the data? Or what happens if for some reasons you are not able to process your data with Spark? And now, what about if the database is not available? As you can see, you can end up with many errors, and I let you imagine what will happen if you have hundreds of different data pipelines. So that's why you absolutely need a tool in order to monitor and orchestrate your data pipelines so that you are sure that if anything goes wrong, you will be able to retry automatically your tasks. Well, that's exactly the purpose of Airflow. Airflow allows you to programmatically author, schedule, and monitor your data pipelines. That means your data pipelines will be executed at the right time, in the right order, in the right way. In my opinion, there are 4 main benefits of using Airflow, and the first one is all of your data pipelines are truly dynamic. Indeed, they are coded in Python, and so everything that you can do in Python, you can do it in your data pipelines. Next, Airflow is extensible. So if there is a new tool and you want to interact with it, you don't have to wait for Airflow to be updated. You can create your own plugin, add it to Airflow, and interact with your new tool right away. The other benefit of Airflow is that it is elegant. Indeed, instead of hard coding values in your data pipelines, you can inject data at runtime. And this is truly powerful in some use cases where, for example, you have to interact with dates. Last but not least, Airflow is truly scalable. You can execute as many tasks as you want, either using Celery or Kubernetes. So if you are looking for a tool to orchestrate your data pipelines, which is extensible, powerful because you can define your data pipelines using Python, and scalable as you can execute as many tasks as you want, I can tell you, you just found it. Alright, now we have seen the theory, let's discover Airflow in action. At this point, if you want to follow what I'm going to show you on your computer, you can do that by just following the link below. So the first thing you need is to have installed Python 3.6 at least on your computer so that you will be able to install Airflow 2.0. So the first step is to create a Python virtual environment with the command python-m venv like that. Then we need to activate that Python virtual environment with the following command: source venv/bin/activate. And as you can see by the prompt, we have the venv right there. Next, we are ready to install Airflow 2.0. To do this, let's create a folder Airflow and go into that folder. Then execute the following command in order to install Airflow 2.0. As you can see, we use pip install, then apache-airflow with the version we want to install, which is 2.0, and the constraint option, which is truly important as Airflow needs many dependencies to be installed. And with that file, you are sure that all the needed dependencies will be installed with the correct versions. Now Airflow is installed. As we want to interact with SQLite from our data pipeline, we need to install the provider SQLite, and to do this, we execute the following command. Next, we need to indicate where we want to initialize Airflow with the environment variable airflow_home and pwd, so in the current folder Airflow. Then we execute the command airflow db-init in order to initialize Airflow. Now that Airflow is initialized, if you type ls, as you can see, we have a folder and a bunch of files. There are 2 important files here, which are airflow.db, corresponding to the database, to the SQLite database that you have by default, and airflow.cfg, corresponding to the configuration file of Airflow. So if you want to modify something in Airflow, you will have to modify the file airflow.cfg. Now we have seen that before logging into the user interface of Airflow, we need to create a new user, and we can do this with the following command. We create a user admin with the first name admin, last name admin, and the role admin. So let's put admin as a password, admin again, and we are ready. In order to start Airflow, there are two commands that you need to execute, Airflow Web Server and Airflow Scheduler. Indeed, Airflow is composed of three components, the web server in charge of serving the user interface, the scheduler in charge of scheduling your data pipelines, and the database or metastore where you will store all the metadata related to your users or your data pipelines. So let's execute the first command, Airflow Web Server, in order to start the user interface of Airflow. And let's open a new terminal where we execute Airflow Scheduler. Now Airflow is running. If you go to your web browser and open a new tab, then type localhost:8080. As you can see, you land on the authentication page of Airflow. And if you type admin, you land on this beautiful page where you can see all the data pipelines that Airflow brings by default. All right, let's add our first data pipeline. To do this, go to your code editor, and in the folder Airflow, you have to create a new folder, DAGs, where you will put your data pipelines. And in that folder, create a new file called my_etl.py, corresponding to the Python file where you paste the code of the data pipeline. You will find that code in the link previously given. Save the file. Okay, let me give you a quick explanation about that data pipeline. So first, you need to instantiate a DAG object with a schedule interval and a start date to indicate when the data pipeline should be started and when it should be triggered. Here, daily, so every day at midnight. Then you have to define some tasks, as shown right there, where each task is defined by an operator, such as the SQLite operator or the Python operator. Finally, you define the dependencies to indicate the order in which your tasks will be executed. Now, if you go back to the Airflow UI and scroll down, as you can see right there, we have our data pipeline my_etl. Click on it, then grab view, and you obtain the tasks of the data pipeline. So what this data pipeline does? Well, pretty simple. It creates a table, then extracts the Bitcoin price and checks if the data is empty or not. If the data is not empty, that price is transformed and finally stored in the SQLite database. So as the data pipeline interacts with SQLite, we need to define the corresponding connections. So go to admin, then connections, and look for SQLite_default as shown right there. Then click on edit record, paste the following path, and obviously we need to change the path according to where your airflow.db file is. Then click on save, go back to the data pipeline, and turn on the toggle in order to trigger it. Refresh the page, and as you can see, the tasks are getting executed. So let's wait a little bit, and it's done. It was pretty fast, isn't it? Now, if you go back to the terminal and type SQLite 3 airflow.db and type select all from Bitcoin, as you can see, we get the latest Bitcoin price as shown right there. So in this video, we have discovered the purpose of Airflow, which is to orchestrate your data pipelines in the most efficient way. We have learned how to set up and run Airflow 2.0 locally, and we have triggered our first data pipeline together. Obviously, there are so many other things to learn about Apache Airflow, and I would love to help you with that. Have a great day and see you for our next video.